This is the second part of my video on the modded Wii's, and I'm going to show you the other two USB loaders that I include, along with an optional set of emulator channels that allow you to play old console games like the Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES, Nintendo 64, and so forth. To start, I'm going to show you CFG and USB Loader GX. Those are the other two USB loaders that I include on my stock modded systems. CFG, or Configurable USB Loader, is a very nice USB loader. It's almost as good as WiiFlow. It has very pretty 3D visuals. It does lack a couple of things that WiiFlow has. CFG has categories, it has favorites, but it doesn't have ESRB ratings, and it doesn't have parental controls. So you can play your games here. You click Start instead of Play. It all works very nicely. It's just not quite as feature-packed as WiiFlow. If you're familiar with CFG, you can play your games that way with no problem. The other USB loader that I include is USB Loader GX. And USB Loader GX took a different approach to playing the games. Instead of very pretty visuals and 3D effects, USB Loader GX displays the games in a simple list. It takes a few extra seconds to load, but when it's up, you'll see you get a list of games, and it goes from A to Z, or rather from 007 Quantum of Solace down to Zumba Fitness. This is on my 2 terabyte drive, which has 1,186 games. There's about a gigabyte free space on here. Each game on the Wii averages a little less than 2 gigabytes, so if you want to install some new games, you'll probably need to delete some old ones. But the USB Loader GX is a very nice USB loader. You basically just select it and play it. It does have favorites. It doesn't have the parental controls or as nice a category system as WiiFlow. If you're familiar with it, feel free to use it. It works great. The other channels that I'm going to show you now are useful for, I have an optional 32 gigabyte SD card that I put on the system, that I can put on the system, and it has old console games. So if you're familiar with the Game Boy, Sega Genesis, Nintendo Entertainment System, Super NES, Nintendo 64, this allows you to play old console games. And I'll just show you a few of them. So let me just jump into the Game Boy Advance. So it's just a channel that you run like any other. And what's going to appear here is a list of the games. And it's not quite as nice as the USB loaders. It doesn't show the graphics, but it works the same way. You just select it from the list and click play, and it runs it. So if you like the old console systems, you can get them. I'm just going to exit here by clicking Home. Try clicking Home again. Where are we? There we go. Now remember, these old console games, the information for your saves was stored on game cartridges. So since there are no game cartridges, we have a real-time save and load system. You can save your place at any point in the game. I'm just going to exit here. I don't want to save the settings because we didn't do anything. I can select a different game or just exit. When you exit, it reloads the Wii main menu, the channel menu. It exits back there. And we can select one of the other USB loaders. Let me play the SNES. There's a total of about 5,100 of the old console games. For the SNES, there's, I think, over 2,000. So many, in fact, that I broke out the games alphabetically or numerically. So if we jump into the zeros, we can play 2020 Super Baseball. These games usually come up pretty fast, because they're so much smaller than the the regular Wii games. Plus, they're loading from a fast SD card, which makes them pretty quick. So here we are. We're in our game. We can play whatever we want. Same thing. I'm going to press home to exit, and again we get our save or load system. I'm just going to exit back to the main menu and jump up to a level, and we can select any other game. So that's there's between the NES, SNES, and all the other game systems, there's over 5,100 of the old console games, which is a tremendous number. If you're familiar with the Wii, there's also something called the Wii Shopping Channel, and what you do is you go online, you give them a credit card, you buy a bank of Wii points, and then you can spend Wii points on different games that you would download. Now, instead of having to do that, we offer, as part of the modded system, with this optional SD card, a thing called WAD Manager, which allows you to, let me turn the volume down. The WAD Manager allows you to install what they call the WiiWare games, or the shopping channel games, from an SD card. On the SD card is a set of 715 of the WiiWare games. I'm just going to load one of the WiiWare games, the Very Hungry Caterpillar. Now, whether you're installing a game from the shopping channel or the SD card, it takes a few minutes, and this is one of the reasons why people don't usually use the WiiWare games, because it takes long to install. With the regular Wii games, or even the emulation games, you can run them directly. You just select them and they run. With these WiiWare games, or the shopping channel games, you have to download them or you have to install them first, which can take a minute or so. Once they're loaded and installed in the system, they run instantly. But just the process of installing them, most people don't like. So it's finished installing. I'm just going to exit back to our main menu, and I'll show you on our main menu now is a new channel, and I'll just scroll back over to the left, and we added the Very Hungry Caterpillar ABC. Now this is stored in the memory of the Wii itself. It doesn't need a hard disk. You can take everything apart, or you can take the hard disk off the Wii, and it'll still run. It's actually a very nice game for kids. There's another 714 of these WiiWare games, or virtual channel games, virtual console games. One other downside for these WiiWare games is they take up a big chunk of memory. On your Wii, there's not a lot of memory, and I'll show you where you check it. You go into your Wii settings, your data management, and channels, and it's going to show in the bottom right corner here how much memory you have. The Very Hungry Caterpillar game takes up 280 blocks of the 1600, so it's a chunk of change. What I'm going to do now is just erase the copy. Now the original is still on the SD card. That hasn't been touched. If you want to play it again, you can download it again, or you can just keep it in the system if you don't like using up, if you don't mind using up all that memory. So these WiiWare games, there's 715 WiiWare games, and then another 5,100 of the old-style console games. And I have that available on an optional SD card. I found that most people don't use them, so I freed up the space on the hard disk for regular Wii games. But if you like it, and if you want these games, they're available on the optional SD card, and I can get you set up when you have the Wii modded. So any questions, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, thank you and have a great day.